gentlemen, we are live ahead of another historic White House press briefing. Absolutely historic. Do I know people that build econometric models? What do you mean by econometric? Oh, White House stream is not live. I've never heard someone use the term econometric when referring to models for prediction markets. But do people build like some type of models to come up with fair values? Yeah, definitely. But most of like the top people, to be honest, rely pretty heavily on intuition. Because you watch these speeches so many times that like historical data is helpful, but you can kind of build up intuition. Right now, okay, I have this sped up. I mean, just my current thoughts. Yeah, definitely different variables, but I mean, there's only so many variables you can like quantify. Like most of the variables people use is like historical frequencies, right? Looking at transcripts. That's what I look at heavily. But you have to combine like real world events. You know, you can't just rely on historicals because obviously like what's happening now in the admin is going to impact things. But here's what I currently like personally. Like I got Illegal Alien in the 70s, which I think was undervalued. I think fair value should be in the low to mid 80 range. So kind of slim value there. I just think at 77 it makes sense. Affordability. I still have an order up to buy some more at 74. My rationale here is Trump is giving a rally on affordability tomorrow in Georgia. Typically when he has things like this, Caro will bring it up in regards to like his schedule for the week. So kind of banking here that I think there's a lot of value that she's probably going to say Trump is giving a rally on affordability tomorrow in Georgia. I just see that coming up. Even if that doesn't come up, there's other ways they could weave this in when talking about like energy. But main reason I like affordability this high, because it is pretty expensive in the 70s, is I just think there's such a high likelihood of her coming out and saying Trump is giving a speech in Georgia tomorrow on affordability. She did the same thing when he gave his speech in North Carolina last time. Election no is purely me just going based off of kind of historical data. I mean, it's been in the new, like I really like this in the 30s. It's now you can see back up to 50-50. Like would I buy this at 50 cents? No. But I liked it in the 30s based on just historical frequency, and obviously a hot topic's been like voter fraud, but even last speech I think she talked about voter fraud a lot and still didn't bring up election. So, and then home housing. Wow, this is coming back down to 73. I will definitely buy more. I don't think so. I'm getting, somebody's already up at 78. But for housing, you can see I couldn't really get many shares. But like, to me, this is like a 90-cent strike, or it should be, because Nancy Guthrie's mother is still out. I mean, that's still going to be a topic. And the whole talking point is bring her home, return home. So it's a little less conventional of like why you think home would come up. But man, I would be really, really shocked if home doesn't hit here. That's a strike. I feel like fair value is potentially closer to like as high as 90 with Nancy Guthrie's mom. And then tariff, just slim value here on the no side. I mean, I don't know. This is mostly, you look at the last 8 speeches she's given, she's hit tariff like 2 out of 8. So, I mean, there's probably some slim value getting some no's and 60 cents. Ukraine, kind of similar. I entered here at 45. It's now closer to 50-50. But just going off historicals and just, it feels like there hasn't been a ton on Ukraine in the news lately. Granted, they had that security conference over the weekend, so that's what could kind of ruin us a little bit. And then they have board of peace, but like, you know, Putin's not on the board of peace. I don't really see that coming up here. And then I do have some yes Supreme Court only because this was down in the 20s, which was like crazy. So I actually clicked these. I was taker on these. I don't know how these got down to the 20s. This can easily come up in various ways. So now it's up to 33, so it's probably getting closer to like fair value, but definitely didn't make sense on 20. I don't know if I'd buy this again at 33, but I mean, it was obviously a really good buy at 21. Stock market, yes. No, I would be on stock market, no, probably, to be honest, if I were to play this. But, I mean, a lot of people are trying to accumulate yeses. I guess, how long are they going to stick to that whole language? It's weird, because you would think stock market should be very high. It's just like Caroline has not historically used that language. And if you think about it, last time, the only reason stock market hit was because she talked about Trump accounts. So if you go back a week when she had her last press briefing, when stock market in their verbiage and language was at its all-time high, she still didn't use it in the way you'd expect. She only used it talking about Trump accounts. So if anything, I would actually be on no up to 80 cents on stock market. Caroline just does not like using stock market in her language. I mean, I don't know. There's not enough value for me to even take a side here, but I would not go on yes for stock market. I actually just, I don't think it makes, I don't think there's like value there. Some of these other ones, I mean, I mainly looked at the big like 50-50s. Let me see if there's anything else that maybe could make sense. Like Epstein 3070, I think that's actually pretty fair pricing. Gonna come down to Q&A. An interesting one is Shutdown. I was actually on no Shutdown. I since sold out, but so I don't have a position on Shutdown. But this is gonna be an interesting one to watch because if she doesn't say Shutdown in the open, it's gonna just skyrocket the no side because you know she could definitely bring it up in Q&A, but if she doesn't come out and say like we're currently in day 4 of the Democrat shutdown, then odds of this hitting are a lot less low than what they should be. So I was originally on no. I since sold out. I might re-enter this live if she comes out and doesn't like immediately say shutdown or say it in the open. If she survives open, not saying shutdown, I think fair value. Again, I'm kind of making up these numbers. It's just intuition, but fair value has to go up to like 40, probably, maybe 50. I mean, reporters are definitely going to ask about it, but given it's just like DHS, you have to think like reporters could even just say like, when will DHS get funded? So we'll see. Yeah, border at 85. I mean, I don't know. What do we think? Yeah, like, yeah, that's probably fair value, I guess. I mean, it's aligned right now with historical. Maybe it should be like 88. You can see Biden actually is down in the 80s now, which is kind of interesting because she had like her first briefing in a long time where she didn't say Biden last time. So, you know, you can see that reflected in the price now that it's all the way to freaking 80 for Biden when that used to close at like 90 every speech. Let me speed up this stream. All right, I have the official Twitter White House stream, which should be like 2 seconds faster than AP. I'll pull that up. Shit, I know. Kidnapping at 18 cents doesn't seem really low. I don't think it's really low. She does not use the language kidnapping when talking about Nancy Guthrie. I think it's hit in the context of ICE agents before. But it doesn't come up in the context of Nancy Guthrie. So that's why I think it's priced where it is. I actually want to look at terrorist, narco-terrorist. I feel like there's something there. Terrorist seems kind of cheap, to be honest. in the 30s. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I won't accumulate anymore. I gotta get ready to pull my bids. Alright, yeah, I'm probably not gonna do any more research live then. Were all my entries limit orders? Yeah. I always recommend, I takered Supreme Court, but I always recommend doing limit orders, guys. Especially if you're trading on Kalshi. You'll avoid paying fees, and then you'll get in at, you know, the best prices. Because you'll get in at the bottom of a spread. Okay, question on gerrymandering. I haven't looked into this one. It's a new strike, but let's see. To me, she has never said, the data I have at least, has never said gerrymander. Has she said gerrymandering? Am I spelling that right? Yeah, I have 0 hit rate on gerrymander. Attack on Venezuela waters on Monday, narco terrorists. Yeah, like... Wait, Rigatoni, why are you heavy on tariff? Yes. Has something happened that should scare me on tariff? What's your rationale? I'm very curious now. I don't want to get cooked on tariff. A tariff isn't one that I feel like crazy good about, but I was getting no at 60, which I think was below fair value. She's only hit tariff in 2 out of the last 9 of her speeches, I guess. How could you be super bullish on yes? Has something happened in the news that I'm not factoring? Please save me, Rigatoni, if it's a bad buy. Let me sell out. Tell me why. Tariff Japan deal? Did that just happen? Am I an idiot? God, how do I stay up to date on this shit? Tariff Japan deal. Is this deal with Japan? This just seems like a oil and minerals deal. I don't. Does it? I guess. I mean, this is a great thing to call out. It's something that could definitely. Okay. Yeah. That Japan deal does kind of scare me. All right, I'm going to sell out a tariff now. I got spooked. I mean, I don't know. It's probably still close to fair value, but I purely bought tariff no because of just historical data and like me thinking there hasn't been like any big news on tariffs, but that definitely changes things. Let me crop this. Whoa. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I sold out a tariff now. That definitely changes things. Let me widescreen this. Let's go, BitBop. BitBop, are you buying any position? BitBop, if there's one position you could buy before this, I would buy Home Yes. Home Yes should be a bond. Do I think Iran will come up a lot? I don't think she's going to talk about Iran in the open at all, but I think reporters are sure to ask about it somehow. So I think there will at least be one reporter question on Iran. Credit cheap in the low 20s. Let's see. I guess credit's really going to hit for child tax credit. Credit probably is cheap in the 20s, to be honest. I mean, even if you just look at random historical, like that's... Because she's going to talk about, like, historical things Trump has done. And, like, child tax credit's a good... You got some good alpha on tariff? Wait, was the alpha on tariff that you were talking about just the Japan thing? Because, I mean, I think that's very fair. I don't know how big of a deal that is, but she'll probably talk about it. There's really not that much in the news cycle. So if they get some type of trade deal with Japan, they're probably going to bring it up. All right, are they showing any hints on the screen? Has anyone seen anything on these screens yet for AP? Sometimes they'll, like, give a hint on what's coming up. Ah, Canada won? Dude, it would have been such a big upset if Canada lost. Damn. Am I using mention radar? What is mention radar? I have a historical transcript database I use. I have all of Caroline Leavitt's first, like all of her press briefings from this term. Czech is not so bad in hockey, by the way. Yeah, I mean, I can tell they must be Canada, but Canada's like incredibly good. I think it would have been a huge upset. Oh, I'm excited. I'm like back to predicting again, you know? I actually am buying positions before a speech again. I actually did research. Lately, I've been doing such little predicting. I've just been clicking buttons. Is Epstein low down to 22 now? Yeah, it probably is. She's probably going to get Epstein questions. I mean, I don't think the Epstein stuff's over yet. The R word. Epstein Depot today? No. Oh, there's a deposition today for Epstein? I definitely think Epstein in the 20s is probably a good buy. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I know. I actually am doing research again, Loom. I'm no longer just gonna live click and mentions. No, I mean, I'm still gonna do that, but I'm actually getting positions before. Why is Home a near bond? Home is a near bond because Nancy Guthrie's mom is still missing, and the talking point is that they're going to bring Nancy Guthrie's mom home. Bring her home. I think it's very unlikely it won't come up. It'll probably come up even in the open. So that's why I really liked Home. I mean, I liked it in the 70s. I mean, now that it's up to the 80s, I don't think I'm going to bond it, but like, I don't know. I'd be shocked if Home doesn't come up in terms of talking about Nancy Guthrie. Maybe I'll click some if they get on the topic of Nancy Guthrie's mom. Yeah, Canada was minus 900. Yeah, that makes sense. Crazy. Crazy. It would have been good for the U.S. if Canada lost, right? Same as FBI? Yeah, that is same as FBI. I mean, FBI could even hit in a ton of different contexts too. But, yeah. Oh, I'm excited. Haven't had a good mention that I'm used to in a while, man. There's been, like, Trump has not been doing mentions. It's been Mamdani, all these other ones that I don't feel comfortable with. Now I get back to the Caro mentions. I love Caroline mentions, dude. I've watched, like, 100 Caroline press briefings. These are, like, my bread and butter, absolute favorite mentions. Caroline and then, like, good Trump speeches. Then we got Trump at 3 p.m. We already had Hochul. We had Mamdani. Then, of course, there's college basketball tonight. Been doing a lot of college basketball. Yeah, pretty incredible vibes. You're hyped for the Trump 3 p.m.? Yeah, I haven't done enough, like a ton of research for Trump 3 p.m., but I need to dive into it. Yeah, in State of the Union next week, dude, I have very little positions so far for State of the Union. I think I only have like 2K, maybe a little less. But I need to start looking at that. I'm going to try to size up pretty big for State of the Union, you know. It'll be fun. Go big or go home. And it's such a, you know, you have to go big on State of the Union. I mean, the one thing is I hope there's a big push for State of the Union so that it's like gets some like more recreational user flow. Like Super Bowl. Like the Super Bowl mention was like one of the best mentions of all time because the flow was unbelievable. I don't know if State of the Union will be able to attract that. I hope it does, because then obviously things will get so mispriced and you'll be able to just like unload money. But yeah, I'm gonna do exactly that, Loom. Going through some negative variance right now. Would love to see a good day. Yeah, happens to us all, man. Variance is never fun. They need to start a market for how late she'll be? Dude, I think I might have cooked those markets, to be honest. When my posts went super viral on how long Caroline Levitt's thing would be, and everyone was saying she was insider trading, which is like so bizarre, obviously. But I didn't even think when I made that post that that's what people would go with. Yeah, I saw the screens. I'm looking at them. What are they going to show? Let's see if we can extract some information from the screens. Show us something good. Judy Shelton, yes, strike for mentions. They added a Judy Shelton strike for who will attend. Wait, has Rigatoni already posted his State of the Union attendees market? It probably is super mispriced because I don't think a lot of people are putting a lot of effort into that market. I mean, if it's anything like the Super Bowl, which was super mispriced for like who will attend Super Bowl. All right, if I flip to the X screen, it's going to be, yeah. Maybe I'll make this a little smaller. Here, I'll make this thinner. That's what I'll do. All right. Well, before you post your positions, Rigatoni, send me a DM. Send me those positions. I haven't looked at the who will attend market at all. I've been way too busy, man. It's like every day you have 5 mentions, and it's like I don't even have time to research all of them, so you just got to watch them live. 10 to 20 said no, that's so EV. Is it like AOC or something, or one of like the really left-wing Democrat members? Well, I feel good about my positions. We got some good CLV, right? If that's a thing in mentions. So at least we can feel like we made the right call on some of these. I don't know if that's a real thing, though. Do I think she will say Trump RX? No, I don't. Usually she only says Trump RX when they give like a speech earlier in the week or in the week on Trump RX. The reason she said Trump RX historically was like she had done the Make America Healthy, or Trump had done the Make America Healthy Again speeches with RFK. So it's easy to loop that in and say, So I don't think Trump RX comes up today. That's why it's priced where it is. Look at this guy with his scissors. 2 minutes. Did anything flash on the screen that I missed? No, right? Oh, Caro's about to come up. I'm so excited. I love press briefings, man. These are my favorite freaking mentions. We got AP right here to see if anything comes out of it. Man, the dream would be to fly to DC, get to watch one of these press briefings, dude. I know all these things go better than the reporters there. What's the difference in CLV from sports dimensions? Yeah, I'm just joking. Like, you can't really trust CLV and mentions as much because obviously, like, they're not that liquid. So, why Ukraine no? I entered Ukraine no at 45, guys. It's now at 60. So I would not buy this at 60, but I think it was mispriced at 45. The reason I liked it was purely on historical. Like, you go to the last 5 press briefings, or 6. She's only mentioned it once. I feel like there hasn't been that much in the news on Ukraine. So I like to know at 45. But it's moved up to 60. I wouldn't buy no at 60. So How many people have? I don't think any ETF. They were saying that they banned it on the premises in DC. I will not say Epstein is a bad buy. I honestly think it's a. I mean, now it's up to 32, so I wouldn't buy Epstein at 32. But when it was in the 20s, I would have bought it. Russian-Ukraine negotiations yesterday in Geneva. I know, I heard that, but I'm like, how? Yeah, maybe that is something that's gonna wreck me on Ukraine. I know. How big of these talks in Geneva are they really? I guess they're ongoing right now. Reporters should definitely ask her. Okay, should I exit my no Ukraine position? But it's U.S. mediated peace talks. All right. I've been fudded out of my position again. Okay. Is she coming out right now? I'll sell Ukraine back. I still don't think it was a bad buy at 45, but Toon's telling me to hold. No, so I've already sold out of my tariff no and my Ukraine no. How do you assess the risk between historical mention and press briefings based on a particular topic? That is literally everything to this. It's like the balance between historicals and current talking points. Your biggest edge in mentions is always going to come from intuition and vibes, in the sense of like knowing things that are coming up. Like you can look at home, right? If you were to look at home, you might just look at historical data. Again, I wasn't even able to get a good position on home, man. I only got 70, like, right? Like, but you have to think about the vibes in the sense of like what is currently happening in the admin, knowing what their talking points are for home. Why did I sell out of Ukraine? No, people were fighting me, Dustin, on the whole like Russia-Ukraine peace talks. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's fair. That is something they could easily ask about, I guess. So I sold out at like 55. But yeah, anyways, what I was saying is transcripts are very helpful. You need to have them, especially if you're new, you need to have them as a baseline. Like when I was starting in mentions, I looked at transcripts heavily and I tried to be as like quantitative when picking positions, because obviously at that time, it's like I didn't have good built-up intuition. I can't trust my intuition on mentions. But as you get better at mentions, you watch more speeches. Like I've watched 100 Caroline press briefings, you know. You start to build up intuition with how things happening in the news are going to impact what they're going to say. And then you can rely on intuition more. Like for Trump speeches, I really am not looking much at transcripts for Trump mentions at all. I'm more so concerned with just like what's happening, you know. All right, your yes on tariff. I don't know about no on border. I would probably sell your no on border. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible buy, but yeah, I mean your no on border is probably fair value. That's what I'd say. So it's fair value is probably 13, and honestly, you know, there's a good chance she won't say border in the open, and border will move up to probably close to like 40 on the no side after the open, in which case you could sell out. So maybe not a bad idea to hold and try to sell out live during the speech with like a limit order. I like your no election. I don't know what price you got on no election. I wouldn't probably buy it now. Oh, here she is. I'm pulling all my orders. One second.
Everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience as always. Let's begin with some scheduling announcements for the remainder of President Week. Today at 3 p.m., President Trump will host a Black History Month reception in the East Room of the White House. I know many of you will attend, and we will see you up there. Tomorrow, President Trump will host a Board of Peace meeting at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace, where he will announce that member states have pledged more than $5 billion towards the Gaza humanitarian and reconstruction efforts, and have also committed thousands of personnel to the International Stabilization Force and local police to maintain security and peace for Gazans. Tomorrow afternoon, the president will travel to the great state of Georgia, where he will visit 2 local businesses and give a speech on his efforts to make life affordable.
Here it is. I said it was going to hit on the Georgia speech
On
affordability.
Friday,
This is what I'm saying with I just
President
knew that
Trump
was
will
such
host
a bond. I
working
should have bought
breakfast
more
with governors
as she was
in
talking
the
about
East
it.
Room here at the
That
White
was
House.
such
And
a
on
bond,
Saturday
but I got
night,
jumped up
President
to 80
Trump
on
and the
affordable.
First Lady will host the annual Governor's Dinner. Next, I'd like to provide an update on the economy. We're seeing promising signs every day that 2026 is going to be a
stock market
record
could.
successful year for the American people, just as President Trump promised them. The January jobs report shattered expectations, highlighting how the president's pro-growth economic
I might
agenda
put
is
up a
fueling
bid here
American
for no
prosperity.
stock market, to be
The
honest.
economy added
'Cause I
172,000
think people are gonna
new
like, load
private
up.
sector jobs to kick off the year.
Let's see, maybe I'll
That's
get
more
wrecked
than
here.
2.5 times
This
economists'
is super
predictions.
risky.
The labor force participation rate went up while the unemployment rate fell. The
I might
prime
get
age
clicked, so
labor
I'm gonna do
force
small bids.
participation rate is now at its
Because I don't think she's going to say stock
highest
market here.
since 2001. Most importantly, 100% of all job creation under President Trump continues to be in the private sector. This is truly remarkable. That's 615,000 private sector jobs that have been added in President Trump's second term thus far. These are real working people. These are real American families who will be living out their
jumped.
American dream. Meanwhile, federal government employment has shrunk to its lowest level since 1966, saving taxpayers $29 billion annually. And all of the net
it's now
job
up to
growth under
74.
President Trump
Okay, we
has
got some
gone
good
to
fills at 60,
native-born
but not a lot.
Americans, ending the disgraceful pattern under Joe Biden of job gains going to
Wow, Biden was down to 80.
non-citizens and illegal aliens.
A legal
Additionally,
alien right
on
there. There we
inflation,
go.
the new
Great.
CPI report is even more proof of the progress made by President Trump. Despite all of the doom casting from the so-called experts, the president has managed to utilize powerful tariffs to secure
Tariff.
trillions of
Oh, and we
dollars in
sold
investments
out of
into our
tariff.
country
Let's go,
and
chat.
rebalance
That
our
was
trade
all on
deals
you.
while
You guys
simultaneously
saved me.
cooling inflation.
You guys
Year-over-year
saved me.
inflation fell
Let's
2.4% in January, beating
Now let's see if she'll hit Ukraine too, and I'll be happy to have saved money.
expectations again and marking the lowest level since May. Core inflation,
Rigatoni,
the
you're
best
goated.
measure of inflation,
You are
dropped
goated.
to its lowest level in nearly 5 years. Meanwhile, real average hourly
3K
earnings
on
for
tariff?
all
Holy
private
shit.
sector workers rose in the month of January, which means more money is going back directly into people's pockets. After only 1 year of President Trump back in office, real
Wow.
earnings for all
Home
private
is
sector
going so
workers
cheap.
have outpaced inflation by nearly $1,400.
Because she didn't talk about Nancy Guthrie's mom. in the
Earning
open.
back roughly half of the $2,900 they lost under Joe Biden when 40-year high inflation was
yeah, come
stealing
even
Americans'
lower.
purchasing power. President Trump's policies are and will continue to allow Americans' incomes to go further for bills, retirement, and achieving the American dream. A key part of the American dream is buying a home.
I wanted to
And
buy
that is
more
finally
home.
becoming more affordable under
Dude,
this
I had
president.
home at
This past week,
68.
it was announced
Damn, I was trying to get
the
get
annual
more
mortgage
shares.
cost for a new home has fallen by $4,000 so far under President
Wow,
Trump,
we are
after
sweeping
rising
this
by
though.
roughly $15,000
So far, at least.
under Joe Biden. As a result, mortgage affordability has reached a 4-year best following recent bold action by the president to make home ownership
Stock
more
market,
attainable
no.
for American
Looks
families,
very good,
not
though.
large Wall Street corporate institutional investors.
Let's see.
At the same time, national median rents have fallen to a 4-year low and have declined for 6 consecutive months. The annual
How did I
rental
get
cost for
jumped
a
in
new
queue
rental
position?
unit has fallen nearly $100 so far under President Trump, after rising more than $3,000 under Joe Biden. And many are crediting that to the president's deportation efforts to remove illegal aliens from our communities and therefore
Wow,
from
illegal
housing
aliens at
that should be used
77.
for
man,
American
crazy.
citizens.
Ah, man, I'm so upset I didn't get more housing. I got
At the
so
grocery store,
jumped.
the price of eggs, dairy, cheese, fresh fruit, apples, oranges, potatoes, tomatoes, and butter have fallen since President Trump took
FBI
office,
coming down.
and
She
he is
hasn't talked about Nancy
continuing to
Guthrie
fight
yet.
for even lower prices at the grocery store for the American consumer. At the gas pump, fuel prices are down by almost 10%
gas
over
pump?
the past year. The average national price for a gallon of regular gas is now less than $3 and is approaching $2.70 in some states, and much lower than that in many states across the country as well. We've seen in several states gas is under $2 a gallon. And at the pharmacy, prescription drug prices are down over the past year, with even more price relief ahead for American patients, thanks to President Trump's most favored nation drug pricing deals and the great healthcare plan, which he is calling on
Wow,
Congress to
healthcare
pass
plan.
as soon as possible.
Could
What President
pull
Trump
up.
wants Americans to understand is that this is only the start and the best is yet to come. The historic success that we have seen since he took office is just the beginning of enormous growth and opportunity that we are about to witness, and I know the president looks forward to hitting the road and being with the great people of Georgia tomorrow to talk about just this. So with that, today, I know there's a lot of news. I will open it up to take your questions, and we're going to start, as always, with our new media
right.
seat, the great Michael Graham from Inside Sources.
Let's see the
Thank you
questions.
for being here, Michael.
Yeah, Narcoterra is
for having
pretty
us,
damn
and,
high.
thanks to from our 200 newspaper partners around the country. So you mentioned gas. We didn't mention natural gas. And back where you live, your friends and family are paying
Natural
among the
gas
highest prices
question.
for natural gas to heat their home and for electricity generation, the number one source of power across New England. The cheap gas is in Pennsylvania. The two highest places to buy gas in the country, New York City and Boston.
New
The
York
problem
City.
is the blue
Glad I
states
don't
will not
own a car.
allow the gas to travel to produce electricity or to reach customers. When President Trump first came back in office, there was some talk him and Governor Hochul in New York possibly reaching a deal. When will consumers in the Northeast feel relief from President Trump's energy policies?
My
And what
stream's
can he
delayed
do
compared to
about
what?
State objections to expansion of infrastructure. that
It's
have a
fast forwarding, so this should be the fastest stream.
Sure, absolutely. Well, the president has promised all Americans across the country, and in particular in the Northeast, where we do face much higher costs of electricity and of energy, unfortunately, because of the Democrat policies in the area. From the federal government's perspective,
Wow,
the
Shutdown
president
No
and
is
the
holding. I
National
should have
Energy
held my
Dominance Council,
shares, dude.
Secretaries Wright and Burgum are doing all
I
we
had
can
so
when it
many
comes
at
to federal
13. I had
permitting.
like
The
1K.
Drill Baby
Why
Drill
did I
agenda is obviously
sell?
underway. The president has made a huge push for more
Damn.
fossil fuels.
Damn,
in
I
this
should have held
country.
that.
You look at what he did last week with respect to coal. Coal truly keeps the lights on in this
I
country.
mean, why
You
would I
learn
even
that
sell?
in
Why
the
am I
recent
such a wimp? I just thought you were
storms.
gonna come out and say
However, there's
Democrat
only so
shutdown.
much that can be done at the federal
Damn, I
level.
should
That's
have
why
sold.
the president has called
I had
on
1K
blue
at
state governors
13.
to participate in this energy dominance agenda, including governors in New England and the Northeast.
Oh, Paul,
by
wait till after
contacting Governor
speech.
Hochul
They'll pay you
directly to get
$1
this
for every share that you won
pipeline
in like
underway. This is not
less
only
than an
going to bring down
hour.
the cost
So
of energy
do
in the
not sell
Northeast,
because you're
it's
giving away
also
free
gonna
money if
support
you sell at
job growth,
99.
and energy affordability and more opportunity for workers in the Northeast. And I just have a quick statistic here on energy.
He's asking more so Rigatoni in the sense of like he just won and he's like, how do I get my money? A lot of people will sell at 99. You should just hold and they'll pay you the full dollar.
Blue states with Democrat legislatures. And that's exactly why the president is calling on all blue state governors across New England and the Northeast to get on board. Let's bring prices down for all Americans, whether they live in a red or blue state.
So right down the street
Oh.
from your alma mater, San Anselmo College, talk about building
Oh, you're talking to me?
ICE facility, that's causing a lot of
Yeah,
political
base.
agita in New Hampshire.
True.
And for the Republican Governor Kelly Ayotte, seems to be some miscommunications argued on both sides. Even Republican supporters of Trump who live in the town say,
Hey,
not
I
sure
am
about
locked
this. What's
in,
your
man.
message to the folks in New Hampshire about this proposed ICE
We are
facility?
locked
The
in.
message is that illegal immigration, while the border is secure,
Ah,
is still
border.
a problem
There it
across
is.
our
I'm
entire
sorry.
homeland. And the previous administration allowed nearly 20 million illegal aliens from countries all over the world into our country.
Hey, I had it right where I did say in the beginning that she wouldn't say border in the open and then you could sell out after the open in like the 30s, 40s. It got up to mid 30s. So look, I'm not trying to say I'm a genius over here.
But obviously, there are a lot more illegal alien criminals left in our homeland. That includes in New England. There are many within our communities in New Hampshire, in Maine, and definitely in Massachusetts and in the Boston suburbs that need to be arrested, detained, and deported back to their home countries. And so the president and Secretary Noem, and I know ICE, are engaged with local governors across the whole country, including in New Hampshire, to open more detention facilities. This is an unfortunate consequence of the previous administration's border invasion that the president
Wow,
has thankfully
crazy
put
if
a
shutdown
stop
no
to,
holds. I'm
but
gonna be
of course, we
upset
still
'cause
need
I
to grapple with the
sold, obviously.
illegal alien criminals who are here, and that requires more detention space. Thank you, Michael. Garrett.
On Iran, I'm not asking you for
Iran.
like military secrets here, but can you
You
share?
know I would be never
Unless-
so unwise.
Unless you want to give them. Can you share a little bit about the president's thinking on whether or not to strike Iran, who he's talking to, what information he's consuming, and why a strike might
Not
be
much
necessary on the
related to
nuclear
the
program he says
Iran
was obliterated by the
in terms
last
of
US.
strikes.
Well, there's many reasons and arguments that one could make for a strike against Iran. The president had a very successful operation as commander-in-chief with Operation Night Hammer, as you know, as you just said, totally obliterated Iran's nuclear
Totally
facilities.
obliterated
The president
Iran's
has always
nuclear
been very clear, though,
facilities.
with respect to Iran or any country around the world, diplomacy is always his first option, and Iran would be very wise to make a deal with President Trump and with this administration. He's talking to many people, of course, his national security team, first and foremost, and you know who the members of that team are, and this is something obviously the president takes seriously. He's always thinking about what's in the best interest of the United States of America,
Ukraine
of our
could come up
military,
here
of
talking
the
about
American
national
people,
security. You should
and
mention
that's
that
how he
they're
makes decisions with respect
No.
to military action of any kind.
And on the flip side of that, he's got a State of the Union speech next week. If he is going to take military action, does the administration believe it's important to sort of convince the American people, sell the American people when we hear something about that in the State of the Union to make the case for why something like that
Ooh,
might be
State of the
necessary to risk
Union.
American lives?
Look, again, I'm not going to engage in a hypothetical. Good try, Garrett, but you can't catch me there. I will say, with respect to the State of the Union, you'll be hearing more about what is to come from the president's speech very soon at the appropriate time.
Ooh, State of the Union?
It is going to be a very good and powerful speech, so everyone should
This is
tune
exciting.
in. Ed.
Caroline, thank you. I got two questions for
Sure.
you. About the Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the administration's decided
Oh, is it
to
Ash Wednesday? I didn't even know
appeal a
that.
judge's ruling that in essence was trying to put the slavery displays back, arguing that the federal government believed it had the power to disassemble and disassemble historical truths when it has some domain over historical facts. The judge said it does not.
Is this
The administration said that you were planning to put up updated interpretive materials and provide a fuller account of the history of slavery at Independence Hall. What more was the administration, or is the
Very
administration
weird
planning to
question.
add?
I'm not familiar with this specific instance, Ed, to be honest with you, but I will check in with the appropriate people who are overseeing this, and we'll get you a more firm answer.
One other question.
very odd
And
question?
then, yesterday in his statement about Jesse Jackson, the president said, despite the fact that I'm falsely and consistently called a racist by the scoundrels and lunatics on the radical left, Democrats all, it was always my pleasure to help Jesse along the way. Where or when does the president believe he's been falsely called racist?
You're kidding, right? I will pull you plethora of examples. I'm going to get my team in that room to start going through the internet of radical Democrats throughout the years
Ooh,
and
radical
who
Democrats,
have accused
not
this
radical
president
left.
falsely of being a racist. And I'm sure there's many people in this room and on network television across the country who have accused him of the same. In fact, I know that because I've seen it with my own eyes. And the president very much looks forward to having a
That was
event
close to
later
stupid
this
question.
afternoon at 3 p.m. to celebrate Black History Month and to talk about how his policies are advancing opportunity and prosperity for all Americans through record tax cuts, through the Trump accounts that all Americans can access regardless of race. These are
Oh.
great things
Wait, talking about
for the next generation
Tax
of Americans.
credit?
The president has also awarded hundreds of millions of dollars in additional funding to strengthen educational outcomes at historically Black colleges and universities
well, this
across
is
the
to focus
country.
on.
Again, the president is protecting the hard-earned benefits of the 2.4 million Black veterans who honorably served in our nation's armed forces by reducing the backlog of veterans waiting for their VA benefits and for their home loans through the Department of Veterans Affairs. So there is a lot this
Okay,
president has
okay,
done for
here.
all Americans regardless of race, and he has absolutely been falsely called and smeared as a racist, and I'm happy to provide you those receipts, and we gladly will right after this briefing. Jennifer, go ahead.
You mentioned the $5 billion in pledges for the Board of Peace. Will we be able to get a breakdown of which countries are providing each of those pledges?
Yes.
And which countries are providing troops?
Sure. We're happy to provide that breakdown, and I'm also happy to provide the list of countries that will be attending tomorrow. I know it's more than 20 countries. I know there's a lot of interest in that.
Oh,
I'll spare
that'll be
myself
big to
reading
know
you the list of 20
attendees.
countries from the podium, but we will provide it, and the president will be opening the meeting tomorrow with remarks, and will sort of formally be chairing the meeting at the beginning before he departs for Georgia tomorrow.
Sewage spill, the sewage pipe that.
Wow, so we're gonna get
Potomac.
2 Trump meetings tomorrow if the Board of Peace
Can
thing
you
is
give us an
open.
update on the federal government's response? And officials have told CBS that some of that aging infrastructure is a concern, that this particular pipe wasn't even of the most urgent concern. Do you know if the government is looking into which other pipes could be at risk of collapsing?
Well, the next step in this process is for any of the 3 local jurisdictions involved, whether that's the Commonwealth of Virginia, the state of Maryland and Governor Moore, or the District of Columbia, to step forward and to ask the federal government for help, and to ask for the Stafford Act to be implemented here so that the federal government can go and take control of this local infrastructure that has been abandoned and
get a Supreme
neglected
Court
by
question.
Governor Moore in Maryland for far too long. In fact, it's no secret that Maryland's water and infrastructure have been in dire need of repair. Their infrastructure has received a nearly failing grade in the 2025 report card from the American Society of Civil Engineers. This is the same grade they've received 5 years earlier. There has been no improvement under the leadership of Governor Moore. He's clearly shown he's incapable of fixing this problem, which is why President Trump and the federal government are standing by to step in. And for all of the environmentalists in the room and across the District of Columbia, let's all hope and pray that this governor does
Oh, I
the
can't
right
believe I
thing and
sold
asks
shutdown.
President Trump
No,
to get
man, I
involved,
had
because
one
it
K
will
at
be
13.
an ecological and
Oh,
environmental disaster
God.
if the federal government does not step in to help. But of course, we need the state and local jurisdictions to make that formal request. That's part of the legal process to move forward. Peter.
So,
What is
you said
wrong
that
with
any of
me?
the 3 Democrats just need to ask. A few minutes ago, Maryland's Governor Wes Moore
Wow.
asked. He said, if the president wants me to ask nicely, our response is this. Please, Mr. President, do your job.
What
To
is
which I
this?
say, I'll ask the president and we will provide you with the next steps. But in all seriousness, the federal government has been preparing plans. The White House has been in contact with FEMA, with the Army Corps of Engineers, with the Environmental Protection Agency. Again, we've been standing by. This is a problem we want to fix, not just for the federal government, but for everyone who lives in the District of Columbia.
Matrix
including all of you.
theory exam.
You're
What the
welcome.
hell
To your
is
point
that?
about that, there are a lot of events coming up for America 250. The president wants people from all over to come to the nation's capital. Is he worried that by the summer, the Potomac River will still smell like poop?
He is worried about that, which is why the federal government wants to fix it, and we hope that the local authorities will cooperate with us in doing so. Steve.
What will the $5 billion be used for in Board of Peace, and will that be sort of a down payment
More
for
Board of
much
Peace
more
questions.
money?
You'll be hearing more about that.
Shoulda held
tomorrow
my
at the
No
meeting.
Ukraine,
If you recall,
guys.
at the first meeting when we were
Shoulda
in
held,
Davos,
but actually, selling my
Jared Kushner
tariffs
did
made me
provide a
net
very detailed
positive
PowerPoint
for those cells
presentation
before.
for the vision of Gaza, the reconstruction and the humanitarian efforts, of course, providing local security on the ground. That will be part of the discussion tomorrow, is how can we maintain security? First, you must achieve security to get to prosperity, which is sort of the second part of this plan. So you'll be hearing more about that tomorrow, but I would just point out $5 billion worth of investment. We're talking about reconstructing Gaza. I remember
You
when
think
those
so,
words came from the
Rigatoni?
president's lips
I haven't looked at it. heavily.
in the East Room many months ago, and all of you in the press were bewildered at
Be
how
careful
the
if you're
president
just blanket
could have
buying a
such an
ton of
ambitious
yeses.
goal of rebuilding Gaza, which is obviously a place that has been just turmoiled by violence and chaos for many, many years. But we are well underway in doing that, and it's a historic accomplishment for this president.
His store.
Is the president seeing enough progress in the Iran talks to let negotiations go a little further? I mean, where do things stand after yesterday's talks?
I think you heard from the administration and the State Department yesterday that there was a little bit of progress made, but we're still very far apart on some issues. I believe the Iranians are expected to come back
Just
to
be
us,
careful if you're
with
going
some
heavy
more
on
detail
yeses
in the next
there.
couple of weeks, and so the president will continue
Definitely
to watch
look
how
a
this
lot
plays
into
out.
the format.
Sure.
With it being East Room and stuff.
On these Iran talks, I mean, how much time is the president willing to give it before he is
More Iran
seriously maybe
questions.
considering military action? Is he willing to give it that full 2 weeks? And has he given the Iranian officials a deadline on when he wants to see a deal?
It's a fair question, Rachel, but I'm not going to set deadlines on behalf of the President of the United States from up
And then just one more on the shutdown. We're now in this partial shutdown.
Oh my gosh, shutdown
over,
question.
DHS funding. Has the president personally spoken
Oh,
to the Democratic
rip.
leaders in Congress? Can we expect to see them at the White House to try to make a deal on this?
Not to my knowledge, he hasn't had any direct conversation or correspondence with Democrat lawmakers recently. It doesn't mean he's not willing to. I'm just not aware of any conversations that have taken place. I do know the White House and the president's representatives have been in direct conversations with both Democrats and Republicans, but of course, Democrats are the reason that the Department of Homeland
Oh,
Security
he did
is
say
currently
shut. She
down.
said it. Thank
they have
God.
chosen to
I had
act
so
against
many.
the American people
Oh, I was
for
feeling
political
so
reasons,
bad
and
for
now
having sold my shares
we have
pre-market.
FEMA
Thank
workers,
the
the men and women
Lord.
of the United States
I'm happy
Coast
because I
Guard, men
would have been
and women of
so much
TSA who
FOMO.
keep our airports moving, who will be
Oh.
working without paychecks for no good reason other than the Democrats want
Yeah, it is surprising, Relgen.
pick a fight with Donald Trump. And the president thinks that is irresponsible and despicable. He wants the government to be open. We've been engaged in good faith negotiations with the Democrats. Last night they sent over a counter proposal that frankly was very unserious, and we hope they get serious
That
very
makes me
soon
feel
because
good, man.
Americans are going to be
felt
impacted
so
by
much
this.
FOMO not having no shutdown.
President Trump has talked about a forthcoming executive order on voter ID.
No,
Is there more details
election
you can provide
question.
for that, and
No.
can you talk about any steps that you're taking to overcome court challenges? That
Just
you
stay
kind
on. Oh, it could be Supreme Court, but just.
Well, as the president said in
Don't
that
say
True Social
election.
Post, he's discussing and exploring
No.
legal options for a potential executive order with respect to voter ID, but this is something he's made very clear he wants
No.
Congress to get done. The Save America Act is a common sense piece of
Please.
legislation that has now
Dodge.
passed the House of Representatives to
Dodge.
ensure that voter ID is a requirement in the United States of America. This is a common sense policy that
Dodge
nearly
it.
90%
Dodge it. Dodge it.
of the country agrees with. You need an ID to
Oh,
go
no.
and purchase alcohol. You need an ID to
Just
go
say vote.
to the
Don't say
library
vote
and
in
check
an
out a book.
election.
And so the president thinks you should have an ID to vote in our nation's
Please
elections.
dodge.
And I know that
No,
House Majority
there's
Leader would agree
elections.
with him
Oh, we were
on
just
that,
so.
And he wants Congress to move and move
Oh,
quickly
she
to get
could
it done.
not dodge it, man.
Sure.
on Cuba, you know, it's increasingly.
How's the
being
total
described
for the
as a
day looking?
humanitarian
Well,
crisis.
you just
What is
watched
a
some of our
successful
profits
outcome for the U.S. that the
get
U.S.
wrecked
wants
there.
to see in Cuba? Is there anything less than regime change that would be considered successful?
But Joey, we are up
I
40K in
think,
February so
Secretary
far.
Rubio has
So it's a
articulated
good month
it,
so
and the
far.
president himself. We obviously want to see flourishing and prosperous democracies
Oh,
all over the
I
world.
can't believe this guy has to ask
especially
about
in
goddamn
our
voter
own
ID.
hemisphere.
Are you serious?
I'm not dictating any actions the United States may take to get there, but I, of course.
So now we're
that's
gonna,
in the
like, break
United States'
even on
best
this
interest to
speech.
have Cuba be a truly free and prosperous democracy.
Crazy.
Unfortunately, right now that is not the case. They are a regime that
Oh,
is
you had
falling.
elections?
Their
Okay.
country is collapsing.
Oh, you had no?
collapsing, and that's why we believe it's in their best interest to make very dramatic
Ah, she was
changes
so
very
close to
soon,
just finishing the
and
answer
we'll see what
too.
they decide to do. Sure.
Following up on Gaza, this $5 billion, who exactly would be in charge of managing this money? Would that be the president himself making the final decisions on how these funds are spent?
It will be the Board of Peace, which the president is, of course,
Man,
the chairman of.
hammering Board
All
of
of the
Peace.
member parties, I believe, will have votes on the funding, and then, of course, there is that technocratic layer underneath the official Board of Peace with the member countries that will be making decisions.
Okay, she has to
So,
be
if you just go
thinking
back and
about
look at
rapping
the first event that
soon.
we had, where we sort of unveiled the structure of the Board of Peace,
Let me. I want to get. When did she start exactly? Oh, actually,
committed thousands of persons.
she's only like 25 minutes in. Let me fast forward this again.
Question on that Board of Peace announcement. You mentioned there will be the announcement of who comprises that International Stability Force. How soon will that force be deployed? And
she's probably
have
still
all
got
of the
time.
regional partners, all of the regional
Man, I should have just
countries
sold out of
signed off
election
on the
immediately
makeup
on that
of force?
voter ID
I don't have a
question because I knew it was
timeline for you
coming
today,
and
but again,
Price
I'm
didn't
sure you'll
react
hear
very
more about this
fast.
tomorrow, so you'll join us at the event. Deanna.
Thanks, Caroline. Two questions.
Sure.
First, the president has talked a lot about housing affordability, and several countries that are facing
All right.
housing
What was the
shortages,
data on
including
terrorists,
Canada, for
narco-terrorists
example,
before
have
this?
imposed a ban
I had it up.
on non-citizens,
Do I have it
like
again?
foreigners,
Where is it?
From buying their houses. Do you know if that's a strategy that the president would be willing to deploy?
Well, first of all, the president is obviously committed to deporting
Narco.
illegal aliens from our country and those who are not lawfully present in the United States,
Terrorist.
which he has done at a record pace, which has led to the falling of rents, as I pointed out in my opening remarks. Secondly, the president has recently announced that he is fighting for a ban on institutional investors and Wall Street billionaire corporations from buying up single-family homes that should be lived in his opinion, by American families. We know this is going to have a remarkable impact on the housing market and on prices and supply and demand for the American consumer and the American family. And then thirdly,
That's
the
like
president
housing
is
10
also
times, by the
expediting
way, and
permitting
we
as
were able
fast
to get
as
it
we
at
possibly
70.
can,
Crazy.
to build more homes, to increase supply, to obviously bring down the cost of home ownership and purchasing homes for
Is
American
Bad Bunny
people.
really still a strike?
And then also, as I mentioned
Jeez.
as well, we do see mortgage rates falling.
I'll buy
So
it. I'll buy
all of
99
this
cent
is
Bad Bunny
combining
shoes.
to make housing more affordable in this country. There's still a lot more to do. The president is still digging his way out of the mess that was created by Joe Biden's administration in jacking up mortgage rates and jacking up housing costs. But we do see very positive trends in this direction. And the president wants the United States to be a nation of owners, not renters. He wants families to live in homes, not institutions and big corporations.
All right. How much longer does she have?
Michael.
Oh,
Secondly, on
Ukraine.
Yesterday, Zelensky said in an interview that he doesn't.
Wow,
he
another
says that
good sell
it's
getting
not
out of
fair
Ukraine.
That the president is saying that Ukraine has to make concessions.
I got
He's saying this
saved
publicly
here.
and not Russia. Has the president seen these comments? And when the president says that Ukraine has to make concessions, is he referring to giving up Donbas?
I think the president would respond to that by saying he does not think it's fair that thousands of Ukrainians are losing their lives and
Ukrainians.
Russians too in this deadly war. And that's why the president and his team have committed a tremendous amount of time and energy in bringing this war that is very far away from the
I probably should have clicked those
United
15
States of
cent
America, but
shares.
nevertheless, this is a president of peace, and so he's committed a tremendous amount of time and energy to bringing this war to an end. Just yesterday, there was another round of trilateral talks between the U.S., Russia, and Ukraine. There was meaningful progress made in both parties. Both sides agreed to update their respective leaders and to continue
Thank God
to
we
work
sold that
towards a peace
too.
deal together. So there will
We
be
got
another round of
saved.
talks in the future. But I think the president views this entire situation as very unfair, not just for Russians and Ukrainians who have lost their lives, but also for the American people and the American taxpayer who were footing the bill for this war effort before President Trump put a stop to it. And I would just remind everyone around the world that the United States is still selling weapons to NATO that are then being sent to Ukraine in their defense of their freedom in their borders. Michael.
Wow, another border hit in a
Russia
different
is
context.
reportedly joining Iran for joint naval
Another Iran
exercises
question.
in the Gulf of Oman this week. Has the president issued any kind of warning to Russia or even China not to involve itself if the U.S.
Oh,
decides
China.
to strike Iran?
Not to my knowledge, no, or not that I would dictate from this podium. I wouldn't reveal the president's private conversations with world leaders. With respect to that, again, when it comes to Iran, the president has a decision to make, and he will do that, and I'm not going to broadcast what that decision may be.
Holy, who is putting up 10K bids?
President Barack Obama, Caroline, was
All right,
recently asked
dodged
if aliens are
China.
real. He says they're real, but he hasn't seen them. The president's daughter-in-law,
Could
Laura
this be
Trump,
stupid
told Miranda
question?
Devine of the New York Post that the president has a prepared speech on this issue that he prepares to deliver at the right time. Is that
Imagine
true?
stupid
And does the
question
Trump
hits,
administration
dude. There's
believe
10K.
aliens are real?
Well, a speech on aliens would be news to me. That sounds very exciting, though. I'll have to check in with our speech writing team. And that would be of great interest to me personally, and I'm sure all of you in this room, and apparently former President Obama, too. So we'll keep you posted on that. Tyler.
She's in a good mood today, man.
The White House has touted an unprecedented amount of cooperation with counties in Minneapolis after the negotiations with Tom Homan. Are those written or verbal deals with the sheriff? How many have agreed to cooperate on immigration enforcement who
Could
previously refused?
be FBI potentially?
Yeah, the last time I spoke with Mr. Homan, which was just a few days ago, he assured us that nearly every single county in the state of Minnesota has agreed to notify ICE when they are releasing criminal illegal aliens from their jails. This is an unprecedented level of cooperation that we have not seen. It has led to not only cooperation to detain illegal aliens in Minnesota, which just this past week I have looked at the list. They've detained some very heinous people who none of you would want living in your communities.
Yeah,
It's
that's
also led
my
to a much
estimate,
more
Purple
calm
Kevin.
situation
Closer to
on the
2 p.m.
ground.
Eastern
We've
time,
also
she's gonna
seen,
wrap.
and you've seen this with your own eyes play out, the local police and the state police have now cooperated in the arrests of left-wing agitators and criminals who are unlawfully obstructing immigration enforcement in their efforts. So this is a huge win, and again, the president sent Mr. Homan to Minnesota to do a job, and he has done it well, and I think the situation on the ground proves that.
Are those like written
No FBI
agreements
mention.
that they've been signed by various officials in the state?
These are agreements that have been made by state and local officials in the federal government, and we are seeing that cooperation play out every single day. These counties are notifying ICE when they are releasing criminal illegals from their jail, and we do know that they are arresting left-wing agitators who are
Left-wing
unlawfully impeding law
agitators.
enforcement. There's video
No
to show
agitators
that.
strike.
Show it yourself. You can view it with your own eyes. John.
You mentioned two things, DHS closed and the SAVE Act IDs. Both of these could get solved in 15 minutes if Senate Leader John Thune simply got rid of this phony 60-vote cloture rule and got 51 votes, and that would be the end of it, because everyone in this room knows if the Democrats take over, they'll get rid of that rule in 90 minutes. They already tried it one time, and the two Democratic senators that stopped it are no longer there, Manchin and Sinema. President Trump is backing a lot of these senators for re-election, and yet they will not get rid of the 60-vote cloture rule, which is holding everything up. What is the
I think they block it, Elijah. They were
president's
saying on the
position
Wi-Fi.
on John Thune in the Senate finally getting rid of this so this legislation can get moved?
Well, the president has a good relationship with Senate Majority Leader John Thune. They keep in very close contact, and they work together all of the time. I hear your passion in your voice, and I know it's shared by many Americans across the country, including the president himself.
Will she get
He
an
wants to
Epstein
see the
question?
SAFE Act voted, and he's expressed that both publicly to all of you, the American people, but also privately in his conversations with Senate Majority Leader Thune and many other members of Congress as well. Yes, Rob, go ahead. Good to see you.
So J.B. Pritzker just recently signed the bill. The law went into effect in January, and it's supposedly going to allocate about $2.5 billion to illegals to go to college and financial aid in the state of Illinois. What is the White House's reaction to this? Illinois is already, by 2027, they're supposed to have a $3 billion deficit. What's your reaction?
This is
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that. I would say the
this is
president
one of
certainly
the
thinks that
shill
Governor Pritzker is not
reporters
doing
that
a
they
very good
let
job
in.
of managing his state,
What a shill
as evidenced
question,
by
dude.
not only the waste, fraud,
Excuse me, a
abuse,
Democrat
but also
person
the
in
crime
another
in the
state
city of
is.
Chicago that unfortunately Governor Pritzker
I
has
love it.
refused to pick up the phone call.
No, these aren't strange. These are how these press briefings go, man.
Phone
Every time.
and call the
There's
White
like
House
there's
now
like 10
held
people
on,
on the side
which is
who are
something
like
his residents wanted to
independent,
do,
and they're
he
all
refused
like
to do for political reasons. As
mega
for the specific
right
one,
wing.
we'll take a look and get you
Not
an
that I'm
answer. You're
political.
welcome.
It's just funny.
John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions. One is about the president's trip to Georgia tomorrow. If you can provide
Come
some
on,
additional
ask about
information
Epstein.
that, why Northwest Georgia was chosen for this particular trip, for instance.
Sure. Well, Georgia is obviously a very important state to the president and to the Republican Party, and the president loves the people of Georgia. He'll be touring, like I said, a steel facility, and then he'll also be stopping by another local business, and he will be giving remarks on affordability, on the economy, on all of the great economic news that I just shared with you earlier. He'll be meeting and greeting with everyday Americans, and that's what the president loves to do, to get out across the country. And he's spoken about his intention to go across the country a lot more.
Feels
and
like she has to
obviously
be rapping
tomorrow's trip
pretty
is
soon.
evidence of that.
Secondly, last week, as you know, big event that took place in the Roosevelt Room, the president announcing that the EPA has repealed
EPA question.
federal limits on emissions for cars, trucks, and power plants.
Doesn't
And
really
in the
impact
president's
anything.
presentation, he mentioned that American families will save $2,500 for a new car or truck. Where is the promise coming from automakers that they're going to pass along their savings to those families all across the country?
It's a great question, John. That was an economic analysis that was provided to the president, and I'd be happy to provide that to you so you can take a look yourself. But I'm glad you brought up the president's announcement last week, because this is one of the largest deregulatory actions ever taken in the United States of America. And overall, it's going to save our country $1.3 trillion in regulatory burdens that have really done nothing for our country, nothing for our environment, nothing for our economy. In fact, this announcement received widespread and bipartisan praise. I think I recall seeing the editorial board of the Washington Post, of all places, even commending the president and administrators
Wow,
for this
Post.
historic action last week. So there's no doubt it is going to save the American consumer money, and I'd be happy to provide that specific economic analysis to you. Sure, in the middle, go ahead. Yes.
Thank you. Governor Moore in Maryland signed a bill that is ending the law enforcement cooperation with ICE. And by doing that, a lot of local sheriffs are not happy, and in fact, they met today in
Could
Annapolis.
pivot to
come up with the
FBI?
legal action. What is the message to the White
Still
House?
no
to the
Guthrie
sheriffs
question.
and
Kind
to
of
the residents
crazy.
of Maryland?
Well,
Yeah.
first of all, it's another despicable action by Governor Wes Moore. Why would you prevent your state and local law enforcement from cooperating with federal law enforcement? If you just ask them, to your point, if you ask a sheriff across the country if they want to have that level of cooperation and coordination with the federal government, of course they do. It makes their jobs easier. It keeps them out of hostile and dangerous environments. It allows them to detain illegal alien criminals who have committed heinous crimes in our country with the most safe circumstances possible. So the president, of course, continues to always stand on the side of law enforcement, and this is another just horrible and frankly political action taken by Governor Wes Moore, and unfortunately the people of his state are going to reap the consequences of it. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. President Trump just said on Truth Social that it would be a big mistake for the UK to hand over control of Chagos Islands to Mauritius. But the State Department earlier this week has said that the U.S. does support that handover. So does this post now suggest that the U.S. does not, or that President Trump has changed his mind on this?
The post should be taken as the policy of the Trump administration. It's coming straight from the horse's mouth. When you see it on Truth Social, you know it's directly from President Trump. That's the beauty of this president and his transparency and relaying.
Oh, that is so funny. Excuse me, the State Department said this thing? Well, if you truth something contrary, you trust the...
A series of walkouts from public school students that have been sort of provoked by a number of public school administrators. What are your thoughts on this? What's the administration's thoughts on this? Will they be taking any action?
Provoked by administrators? About what?
ICE?
Oh, ICE.
Look, I think
What
obviously...
a terrible way to ask the question. Like, I don't even know what she was asking. Carol was probably like, what are you talking about?
Amendment rights of all American citizens, and if they're peacefully protesting, then that's their constitutional obligation and right and responsibility to do
What?
so. Of course, the administration also wants to see American school children in school learning and educating, and I think it does speak to the left-wing bias that is unfortunately very present in our nation's public school system, and it's something that Secretary McMahon has been working very hard to root out of our public school system by ensuring that local governance
Why
and
was my
local
book
control,
empty? Someone bonded it. I
place
couldn't
over our
click
nation's public
nose.
schools, and that parents
You guys
and
saw that,
educators
right?
closest to students have a
I was
a
so
greater
ready
say
to
over
click
curriculum and
nose.
academia in our country. Take a couple more. Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline.
Oh.
Announced earlier today that they would not
Dude,
be
how
joining
did the
Board of Peace
order book
initiatives
look
over concerns
wiped?
that could potentially compete with the United Nations
It got
over handling
misbonded.
crisis conflicts. What's the White House's response to that?
Yeah, look, we saw that.
I'm
I
gonna
think
replay
it's
this
deeply
back. What just
unfortunate.
happened?
I don't
Someone
think that
bonded.
piece should be partisan or
Wait, what?
political or controversial.
Someone bonded
and of
yes,
course
but it
the
didn't hit.
administration
And then I was
wants
gonna click
all those
nose.
who were invited to join the Board of Peace to join, because again, the Board of Peace is overseeing the reconstruction of a territory that has been
Check
plagued with
Discord.
violence, with bloodshed, with poverty for far
Where?
too
In-
long. And this president has a very
in
bold and
Mention's
ambitious
chat?
plan and vision to rebuild and reconstruct Gaza, which is well underway.
Oh, Foster's
because
talking about
of
it
the
too.
Board of Peace. This is a legitimate organization where there are tens of member countries.
God, Foster's agreeing with me. The order book broke. I couldn't click either.
In the
That's
back.
so funny.
Sure.
I had the same issue.
I'll go to both of you. Sure. Go ahead and then.
Okay,
Casey.
so this happened to everyone.
Caroline, can you tell me, is there an update regarding the tariff rebate checks that the White House has promised?
I don't have an update for you on timeline, but
That's
I know that
very
it's
funny.
something that the president and his economic team continue to very seriously discuss.
I've got two questions. First, does the president see some sort of religious or prophetic component to the unfolding developments in the Middle East?
I haven't spoken to him about that
Prophetic?
particular perspective, to be honest with you. But of course, the
What is
president
this
wants
question?
peace for all people of all faiths all around the world, and that's part of his push to create peace in the Middle East, which he has done successfully.
The question is, as his popularity rises around the world, and especially in regions where he's invested so much effort in promoting peace and ending wars, do you think we might be watching the emergence of a global MAGA movement? Is this something that...
Dang, someone misbonded and I couldn't click it because
Well, I don't know,
order book
Jake, but I
deleted.
sure hope so.
Crazy.
Take a couple more. Go ahead.
Couple more, so it's wrapping soon.
About Iran. As the U.S. military builds
Iran.
up around Iran, is President Trump coordinating war plans with Israel so
bit
that if
more
he
stock
does
market
decide to
news.
strike, that Israel will be a part of those strikes?
Look, I don't have any specifics
Holy
on the
cow.
president's recent conversation
5K
with Israel.
at
As you know,
96?
Prime Minister Netanyahu was just here at the White House
Do I
last
click
week
this?
or the week before. But again, with respect to Iran, there was some progress made yesterday. There are still a lot of details to discuss, and we'll continue to see how this plays out.
Yes, I got it.
The United States government, of course,
Let's
is
see.
always in
Will I
close
get rinsed?
communication and correspondence with the state of Israel, and that starts right at the top with the president and Prime Minister Netanyahu themselves. One more.
One more.
Last week we saw the underlying affidavit for the search warrant that was executed in Fulton County, and there was not any mention in that document
Oh.
about foreign election interference
could
in
be
the
FBI.
2020 election.
I
I'm
don't know.
wondering if DNI Gabbard has uncovered that in Georgia or in Puerto Rico, where we know her team was sent as well.
I don't have any updates for you on that today. I would defer. you to the director's office herself.
Ooh.
On the president's schedule today, it says he has signing time. What is
No.
the signing today? Are we expecting
She's
executive
doing,
orders or actions?
oh,
That's the
executive
first
order?
question. And then second, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that a U.S. arms sale package for Taiwan is in limbo. Can you just confirm this reporting / offer any additional comment? And how concerned is the administration that if an arms deal with Taiwan went through, that this could disrupt the China-U.S. trade truce?
Sure. Well, I haven't read the
Ooh,
full Wall Street Journal
China,
report.
potentially.
I will just say, with respect to an arms sale to Taiwan, I don't have any announcements or updates on that for you today. And to your first question about what the president will be signing, he will be signing an executive order, which you will all be hearing about later this afternoon, and you will see him in 1 hour at the Black History Month reception. We'll see you there.
No.
Thank you.
No, they clicked me. Oh, I was trying to buy executive order. Yes. Oh, I got outclicked. I got outclicked, man. How does this not go yes for will Trump do anything today? Because it's a EO. Isn't this a EO market? Pretty much. Donald Trump's taking any presidential actions. Yeah, this is a presidential action if he's signing a executive order. Damn, dude. Someone beat me to click EO market. So this is like... this. She called it an EO. I wonder if... oh, I was just too slow on EO. Well, we did pick up like 3K protester no at 97 because I think someone was spying on protesting. What a bad Caro speech, man. The election hitting just took away all our profits, so we made $160. Pretty poor. She said crediting. Yeah, it was bizarre. The order book got mogged on protesting. Let me see. What am I actually at? So okay, yeah, this is accurate. I made $150. 100 or I don't know, $200 cuz I'll get some bonds. Whatever. Okay. On to the next, I guess. I'm a little annoyed on election. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will probably be back at 3 p.m. for Trump. Gonna try to do some research in the next hour. Thank you all for tuning in as always. What an electric Caroline Leavitt press briefing. And thank you guys for making me sell out of my positions in the comments. That was smart. Selling out of... well, did Ukraine... yeah, Ukraine ended up hitting, and so did Tariff. So I would have been down a ton of money had I not sold these. So thank you, chat. I know the China dodge was kind of crazy at the end.